Where does world shipping, fit into the equation when we're talking about carbon emissions? And when we've talked to other guests about emissions from aviation, from land transport, we've got the opportunity now to ask you about emissions from world shipping. I mean, how big a problem is it? What is being done to regulate emissions from world shipping?
Okay, well, in accordance with the study that we carried out in 2009, international shipping is responsible for about 2.7% of total global anthropogenic GHG emissions. So clearly it is something that the shipping industry itself must do something about, and what we have done as the international regulator for the shipping industry is that in July we introduced mandatory standards for energy efficiency of ships. What that means is that new ships being constructed in the future will have to meet certain reductions, let's say, in fuel consumption, and by reducing fuel consumption, they're reducing combustion and therefore emissions to air. These regulations are applicable to all ships, irrespective of where they may be registered, because in accordance with the convention that established IMO as a UN specialized agency, we apply all our regulations to all ships from all countries.
Which therein lies a problem, I believe, that I think you said 75% of ships, of world shipping, are registered in developing countries, where applying those regulations can be difficult.
Well, I'm not sure about the application being difficult, but the regulations were made applicable to all ships precisely because if you regulate just for the 25% which are of the fleet which is registered in developed countries, within a matter of time, that will drop from 25 to 15% because of flagging out. Ship owners would move from those registers to registers in developing countries that would not have been, let's say, obliged to comply with the standards. So in order to have environmental integrity and effectiveness, and not just that, but in accordance with the convention that established IMO, we apply all regulations to all ships. Now, undoubtedly, some countries will have some difficulties in implementing and enforcing the regulations, and to that end, within the regulations that have been adopted, we have made provision for technical assistance, capacity building, technology transfer. And this was adopted in July, and in November we launched a global program to help developing countries in particular understand what the new standards mean, how they should be applied on board ships, and how they should be applied or enforced rather by national maritime administrations. We started that program of assistance in November, just 2-3 weeks ago, with a regional seminar in Singapore, and with a very specific course for South Africa in Durban just last week.
And what is it you bring to COP17? What are you hoping to achieve here, or get your message across, or is there anything you specifically want from COP17?
Well, the various COPs have throughout the years asked us to report on the work that IMO does in addressing GHG emissions from international shipping. So we've reported on this occasion, and that report has been received by SUBSTA and by LCA, and as you know, in the LCA, they are talking about international bunkers, both from civil aviation and international shipping. And what we would like to see from IMO perspective is an acknowledgement that this has been done, and that we have regulations on the table now that will enter into force in 2013 rather, and that we should continue doing our work to further reduce emissions from ships.